Hi, everybody. Welcome to Satsang. I'm Mataji Katie Augustyn. I'm the spiritual head of the Transformation Center CT, which is based in Westport, Connecticut. I'm also a transformation coach, energy healer, shamanic practitioner. So welcome to Satsang tonight. As you know, it's Sanskrit for in the company of truth. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about the third agreement, and then we're going to do, Radha is going to do a guided visualization for us after that. And so first I'd really like to welcome Radha Cathy French, and she's my mentor and guide and friend and all around wonderful person. So thank you as always for being here. And if you would like to get us started with the Arati, that would be wonderful.
Okay, so Arati is an ancient ritual in which we celebrate really the all-pervasive, we celebrate light, in particular the light that dwells within us as us. And so with each waving of the light, we ask that the light within our own heart be kindled. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya, Shiva. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya, Shiva. Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yes. So Radha is the spiritual head of the Mahamar Babaji Mystery School of New England. And she's also a healer and a coach. And she has a private practice called Loving Kindness Healing. And as I said, she's my mentor, the one who got me started on the spiritual path. So seems like
the best things I ever did.
Yeah. Same here. That was probably almost 20 years ago, maybe not quite, 15 years ago. Yeah, so tonight we thought we'd talk about one of the four agreements. This is like my favorite little book, The Four Agreements, if you're not familiar with it. It's by Don Miguel Ruiz. And it really is kind of a blueprint for me for like where to start in getting, really getting the life that you want, because he talks about how we came into this life and, you know, we're perfect when we come in, and then the conditioning starts. And before, you know, unconsciously we even know it, we've made all these agreements. And so now he teaches us how to have different agreements, which work better for us in our lives. And the third agreement is the one we were going to talk about tonight. And that is about don't make assumptions. You know, and I was reflecting on this and how important that has been in my life. And so that's one reason I wanted to share and talk about it tonight, because I think at some point, and maybe not that long ago, actually, I realized that making assumptions, like any time that I sort of got into a tight spot or in trouble or felt like I, you know, didn't go in the right direction or made a mistake or offended somebody or all sorts of things, I realized that a lot of time that was because I was making assumptions. And then I started thinking like, well, how did that start? You know, and for me, I think it started early on in my childhood where it was valued, you know, high intelligence was a value in my family and in the culture I grew up in. And I think that as children, we weren't allowed to have questions. It was almost as though you should know everything, you know, like you can just figure things out, or you can like know things yourself. Like you can figure it out. You don't have to ask someone else how they're feeling, what they're thinking. And, you know, so it kind of permeated everything. And so that's how it became, for me, like knowing or thinking that I knew what somebody was thinking, or thinking that I knew what they were feeling, rather than stopping and asking a question to clarify. Like I didn't feel like if I asked a question or if I hesitated or went deeper or took some time to reflect that what I was conditioned to believe was that that meant that I wasn't intelligent. That meant that I didn't know enough. That meant that I wasn't smart enough, or I was lacking something, you know. So it's really interesting to reflect on that and see, you know, in your life, you know, where are you making assumptions? You know, like what is it that you could ask questions? Because that's really the way to get out of it. Like to stop making assumptions, the way to get out of it is to ask questions, you know, to realize that you don't know everything. Everybody's different, you know. I mean, we know that, but I think we start to assume that you know, we like the way we think, that's how everybody thinks, you know. I mean, I think, you know, that's what's going on in the world. Like, doesn't everybody think the way we do or feel the way we do about whatever's happening? Yeah. So anyway, and I know we're going to talk a little bit because Radha and I were talking earlier about what assumptions we make about ourselves. So maybe you want to start from that perspective, Radha.
Yeah, it's interesting. I really appreciate your candor about this, and you know, the way we're raised. You know, we so rarely have full consciousness about what we've actually bought into until a little later in life when maybe things aren't working out so well. This idea, where I went with this was, what are the assumptions that I make about myself? Which I think in other languages, what are my limiting beliefs? You know, like I just assume I'm not the kind of person who does this or that, or I assume that things are going to go a certain way for me, or I assume that my spiritual life is going to be challenging. You know, I mean, like there's things that we just, well, isn't that the way it is? You know, and then we live our, and then we're living our life into those assumptions. And a lot of the time they're baseless. Excuse me.
Yeah, so that's what you mean by limiting beliefs, because it's something that we must have at some way, at some point along the way, we decided that someone else is better than us, or whatever the limiting belief is, and then that becomes our reality, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, recently I've been discovering that I felt I had the assumption that someone else knew better for me than I knew for myself. You know, I was willing to surrender my own autonomy on a belief that someone, and especially on the spiritual path, knew more than I did. Well, that person does know more than I do in some ways, but not necessarily what's right for me. You know, there's like, and then once I move out of that assumption, then I have the responsibility, well, what is the truth? And how do I find that out? I mean, assumptions are really handy because you don't have to do the work to find out what the truth is. Because sometimes it's things you don't want to know, you know? You know, I think that, you know, as a culture, we're looking at that, you know, the assumptions that we make about, I mean, certainly all the, you know, the cultural things around race in our society. I mean, and the things people believe, or the things people are assuming about the direction our country should go in. All of these things, looking to other people for answers, not necessarily knowing for ourselves what we really think, but taking advantage of the convenience of someone else's assumption, or, you know, taking advantage of the opportunity to assume things for ourselves. There's a cushion in that, you know, if we're assuming what our peer group is believing, you know, there's that too, you know. Yeah, I mean, and going a little further down that road, you know, being much more in touch with what I really know and feel and believe. Like you were talking at the beginning of this segment, you know, that there's the possibility that we're flying in the face of harsh judgment from people that we love and respect. if we're not assuming the same things, or assuming that whatever they're laying out is the way we ought to be behaving, thinking. I think that stuff is beginning to fall away because it's not true or accurate. And this is a time when I feel like all that stuff has to dissolve. We can't move into the future with those kinds of falsehoods, especially if we're committed to them or attached to them, better word.
Yeah, I definitely get that, that feeling that people are starting to become more aware of what is accurate and true and what's not, and it starts with ourselves, like we were talking a minute ago about our limiting beliefs about ourselves, because I think we are our harshest critics. And, that's another assumption, is because I judge myself a certain way, I'm assuming that someone else is judging me that way. So then when I'm in a relationship and somebody says something, then my default kind of goes to, well, they're criticizing me, or they're not, saying something nice, when really it could be a neutral thing. Or I just misunderstood because I made an assumption that they were judging me. Or you walk into a room and if you're not used to being non-judgmental about yourself, you walk in and you feel like everybody's looking at you, everybody's judging you.
Right. Yeah, it's one of the things that you're talking about is one of the greatest opportunities for transformation. This not judging if we're not doing it to ourselves, then we're living in a space where, it's kind of irrelevant to us. We're not projecting it, I guess would be the way to put it, so I don't know, it frees up other people to do the same. If we're living if our own space doesn't have a lot of judgment in it, then when other people join us there, judgment isn't such an active participant in our conversation. Does that resonate?
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's kind of like everything else, that it starts with us, like whatever we want to see in other people, then we become that, we model that, and we give it out to other people. So if we want non-judgment and acceptance and love and kindness and all of those things in our lives, then we just become that. We become that loving, kind, non-judgmental person. And yeah, I think you're absolutely right. So that's what transforms the world ultimately. It starts with us, then we give it to the people that we know, and then that's how it ripples out from there. I mean, to me, that's really one of the reasons that we do what we do.
Mm-hmm. As you were saying that, I was thinking, what if we assumed that everyone was an aspect of God? Like, there's an assumption that might work, looking for that, just operating on that. It's we could make good use of assumption.
I love that. I love the way you transform that as something, because it is kind of funny, because I always say that I do see the good in everybody.
You do.
And I do, and I really do. And I see, that everyone is the same. We're all one, and I see the love. And so I love that. So I think we should just say that assumptions are great, as long as you assume everyone is an aspect of God. So as everything, there's two sides to it, right?
Yeah. I hadn't thought of that until it came up.
I hadn't either. That everyone has something to offer. Everyone has beauty. Everyone has what they need inside of them. And what I love is bringing that out, and having them discover it for themselves. Because, so many people I talk to and work with, they don't see it for themselves. So sometimes it takes somebody, from the outside to really zero in and like kind of show it to them, like here it is. This is you. This is what I see. This is what I see. So therefore it's there, it's you. So
Yeah. Yeah, I guess there it's going from an assumption to a reality.
ah,
I mean, if it's something that you can prove, then it's not. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's the difference. That assumptions, the way that Don Miguel talks about them, are erroneous.
Mm-hmm.
They're not true. They're something that we're making up, basically, that serves a purpose in the moment, but it doesn't serve the larger purpose. It doesn't serve the larger good.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, because I was thinking about, for me, it's a fact. Everybody's an aspect of God. It's not really an assumption, but in light of, I don't know, it's interesting the way it's all kind of turning around. I mean, certainly finding out for ourselves what's true and what isn't. I mean, we can certainly ground ourselves in that.
Yeah, and I think the best part about anything really, is to know that we have a choice in how we see things, how we look at things, and then how we react or not react.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very powerful teaching, the choice that we have.
Yeah, so we can choose to see things a certain way or see them a different way, and like you said, it's a fact that everybody is an aspect of God, but for some people, they may not choose to see that, or they may choose to, it's like, even though facts are facts, we still have a choice whether we believe them or not.
That's true. Yeah, especially wasn't that long ago there were that whole new terminology, the alternative facts. We have alternative facts. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've often said that. Because some people will. Well, there's that saying, for those who believe, no proof is required, and for those who don't believe, no amount of proof is adequate. And there's this, so the spiritual path sometimes can be, we look for some kind of proof, and where I was going with that, just that even if I'm wrong, I would rather live my life this way than another way. Even if I say I know that we're all aspects of God, even if I'm not, even if that's an assumption, it's one I want to live my life by. It's to your point about choice,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that other saying that we used to say, well, I'll believe it when I see it, but now it's like, well, I see what I believe.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so true.
Just to be aware of that it happens to all of us at one point or another, and just to be aware of it, that there's also a choice there. At every point we have a choice.
It's true. It's true. How are we going to live our life?
Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, this is great. Well, thank you for this. Really, I think this is really enlightening. Yeah, there's so much.
Yeah, there is. I'm so glad you selected this.
Talk about.
I haven't read this book in a long time. I should pick it up again and
It, I mean, you could read it in an hour or maybe it's very short. It's very succinct and yeah, I like to read it every so often myself. So great. All right. Well, shall we move on to a guided visualization? Are you ready for that?
Sure. Let's see where we go tonight. Okay.
Nice.
So just settle into your chair, close your eyes, and feel your heart begin to open. Feel how vast this beautiful space within us really is. And breathe. Breath in, breath out. Inhale, the Lord gives it. And exhale, the Lord takes it away. Let your breath relax and support you. As our heart opens to the cosmos, revealing its own cosmic nature. And see the night sky, all those diamond-like stars studding the night sky. The Cherokee believe that each star is a manifestation of a thought from the mind of God. Feel the shimmering intelligence in the night sky. Feel the starlight as it comes to the crown of your head, all over your head, actually. Starlight, beams of starlight weaving themselves together. Cast over the top of us. A web of light. Like the web of life itself here on the planet. The interconnectedness, interbeing, as Thich Nhat Hanh says. How close we all are to each other. Supporting each other, caring for each other. Oft making our contributions to the well-being of others. Other beings doing the same for us. Feel all the beams of connection that you have from your heart to the hearts of others you love and admire. Out across the globe. The love you may feel for the elephants or the whales. Great leaders, great spiritual beings. You have your own web of light as part of the greater web. And feel the love that runs through all of these beams of light. love, grounding you, supporting you. The love of the Creator for His creation. Love, connecting you to life itself. Feeling the presence of love within your own cosmic heart. Letting that love light you up. Feel that love light expanding within you. Flowing through you for the love of you. Feel it bathing the cells within you, washing away anything that's out of alignment with who you truly are. Illness, misperceptions, illusions, assumptions. As the light fills you, caring for you, as you become more and more of who you truly are. A great being. As the light fills you and begins to radiate out, radiating just for the joy of it. Just allow yourself to relax as this love light expands, as you become your own star. The love radiating, radiating through those beams and connections to the people and places and beings you love. Feel the wonder of it all. That you get to share your love with so many others. Breathe. Feeling the expansion of your life. Feeling the room you're in, the building you're in. No effort whatsoever. Just as any star radiates their light. No effort. Love. Expanding out through your neighborhood, through the town, at the speed of thought, the county, the state, the country. Love. Feel how compelling it is, how natural. As our love needs each other's love. As the radiations of our love reach troubled spots across the globe, mitigating some of the difficulty. Knowing that this love is the essence of the universe. Love the key ingredient to who you are as a being. And breathe. As your essence, this love finds its place in the world, joins the love of others to support peace, understanding, truth, justice, the way, and breathe. As there becomes somehow less of you and more love, as you merge in this love, all there is love, healing, blessing into eternity. Feel the peace and wisdom that accompanies it, the pervasive nature of it. Feel it as your offering, as a reminder to everyone, this is who they are too. Love, love, love. Slowly bring yourself back into the present moment, integrating all of this love, letting it support you and heal you, bless you, uplift you, and guide you, so that you may be a contribution. Amen. Well, Katie.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would like to wrap up with kind of a continuation of that love and to send it where it's needed most. And it can be on a personal level for all of us, but also I'd like to include it on a global level, a planetary level, to all of our brethren, our neighbors across the planet, especially those who are in a trying situation right now. And send our love and have them really feel it and receive it when you're sending it, no matter what situation, no matter what the outcome of what's happening, especially in the Ukraine and Russian, with those people. They're still humans, they're people, and we love them and we want the best for them. And just to feel maybe feel a little bit of what they're going through, and send them that love, that caring, that support, and have them receive it tonight from us, all of us, and know that we do make a difference. And I'd also like to send my love to each of you and thank you for being here with us tonight. God bless. God loves you. So do I. And I'm going to stop the recording and then we can stay on for a few minutes.